And just get the streaming going. I'll do the social stuff here while things are warming up. Oh goodness, 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 goodness. Cool. Okay, I think that's enough social stuff. Let me get a cup of coffee, take a peek at my dashboard, and see what's going on. Okay, let me refresh, make sure I'm actually live. Okay, looks like I am actually broadcasting, which is good. Cool. So let me just do my normal script and we'll see how things go today. So hi, I'm Joshua. Today is January 20th, 2017, and today I'm working on Delver. As you can see behind my head here, um, delvergame.com is the website, and the game is a procedural fantasy dungeon crawler with RPG, roguelike, and first-person shooter elements. It's a passion project. There have been two of us working on it for 4 years now, trying to get this thing finished up, and that's what these streams are all about. Right now, you are watching a bonus stream. Bonus streams kind of happen last minute, and basically, whenever I have the free time to do one, I will do one. So the best way to find out about those bonus streams is to follow me here on Twitch or over on Twitter at Joshua Skelly. But let's go ahead and get started. Let me see. Where was I? Let's kind of refresh ourselves. Pull open some of my tools. I have been mostly working towards localization stuff, which can be pretty dry. Maybe we could switch gears and work on my mod a little bit. That might be more interesting. Do some art, kind of have a nice, relaxing Friday morning. Let me minimize that. Go over to Delver example mods. This is yeah. So we have some items. And that's it. I think it's an okay enough start. I think I know one person who's used this as to start um, their mod. What else? So this is structured. The repo is structured such that I can have multiple examples. Um, so I can keep working on this one. Um, but I don't know how much time I should sink in any given individual mod. Um, I guess I can real quick. Let's do a sample dungeon tile set, right? That should be fun. There should be some art involved in that, and yeah, that should be all right. So let's do that. example. Wrong directory, Joshua. Sorry, it's still a little early for me. There we go. Let's open this up in VS Code. Okay, let's. Okay, so there's nothing in there. Okay, so what we need is if we're going to make level pieces, pardon me, and ultimately we need a generator.zip, but the pattern we kind of follow is having, so we need a data folder. We're going to need a generator folder. What else are we going to need? Textures, that's kind of the practice we have been doing, so let's create a textures folder. Okay. I think that ought to be it. At the end, we can zip up all that stuff into the generator.zip, but I think that should be a good start on it. And for the data, if it's dungeons.dat, so right now it's just a predefined list. There's no real good way to inject or insert your custom levels right now, because all it does is it replaces and not necessarily inserts or appends. So maybe some of the findings here can be used towards that. Okay, so theme. What do we want to theme this as? If there's folks in chat that wants to make a specific type of thing, let me know. I'm almost tempted just to recycle some old art I have laying around. Anyway, so so we need to kind of cover all the basics of what a level should have. I think I have something tucked away. Let me make sure I got it. Yeah, it does look like I got it. So copy, paste. Yeah, so this should be all the pieces you need for an area. So open and explore. Generator. I think these are just called basic, but for lack of a better term, I'll call it example. Let's move all this here or into example like I meant to. There we go. And if we now look at an example of the generator, we should have one of each. And these are all .dat. They really should be .bin, but oh well. .dat is the old file format, and .bin is the new format for rooms. .bin is a little bit smaller and a little bit faster. Faster to load, that is. Okay, so let's fire open the editor and see what this looks like. Okay, so this should be GitHub, Delaware example mods, dungeon floor, generator example, beginnings. Yeah, and it should be really simple stuff here, just kind of illustrating what, especially like, for example, like a three-way intersection. It's very important that you connect these three specific edges of the room. The engine kind of assumes that you are doing that correctly. Um, yeah, let's just go ahead and I have some old art laying around that we can probably use. I think it would be fine. Um, Let me pull it open. Yeah, so this was several years ago now, probably 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Uh, Somebody was asking for some help with um, uh, some texture work for a potential mod. So it's going to be sci-fi theme, but hopefully that's fine. Hopefully people, it's an example, so it doesn't necessarily fit into Delver, but that's okay. Um, yeah. So let's copy that. Let's go over to, it should live in textures, new folder. Again, these kind of agree. Example, and paste that there. Can I do that? Open in Real and Explorer. Example, paste. Cool. I call this example tiles. Let me open those up in Photoshop so we can get a look at them. Maybe expand them a little bit. It's always fun doing pixel art. There we go. Open. Delver example mods, example dungeon floor, textures, example tiles. There we go. So it looks like a couple walls. So I mean, I could ostensibly I could get the basics of a level out of this. So let's just see what I can do, and then maybe that can inform me what I might need going forward from there. Sorry, my voice is kind of I don't know groggy or something today. Um, Let me. So what do we need? I think we need to define um, how our textures actually work. I think there's this wall textures.dat. So I'm going to, I guess, just copy this in my data for my mod here. I'm going to create a new file called wall textures.dat. I'm going to paste it, and then I'm just going to get, I only need one entry because I only have one sheet I'm hooking up, and columns 4 is correct. File name is textures slash example slash example underscore tiles. The name is example. And that should be enough to get it going. Let me see. I think to really view this correctly, I need to copy this over into my. I need to copy this over. I'm gonna go ahead and temporarily create a mods directory in my in source control, and then I'm just going to Reveal and Explorer, copy this, and then I'll paste it into my mods directory. And at least I should be able to fire up the editor, and that should pull in the new wall textures, and I should verify that that is working correctly. So file, actually I should be able to do it right now. So if I, let's make a little room here, and then let's say the lower wall, example. There we go, sweet. So let's make it that. Was that the upper wall? Example. There we go. The ceiling example. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. And the floor example. There we go. That's not super amazing looking, but I can play around with it a little bit, right? I can do something like that. And then maybe make the floor this caution cup, this caution pattern, you know. And then I can maybe grab this here and then pull up the ceiling a touch, right? And then I can make the upper wall do something more interesting. So upper wall maybe should look like that. Except for I goofed up the floor, so let me grab the textures like that and then make the upper wall that cool pattern. Right. Hit play. It's probably gonna be pretty darn dark. Which is okay. What if I fill that in? Then maybe lower this computer, carve it out, and then pull this up. There we go. Put in a little light. Place entity lights. You should prefer ambient lights just because they should become an orange-y color, I think. Our computer monitors always kind of tend to be blue, but this one should be maybe yellow. I always forget. Let's do a bluish. Use ambience because for performance reasons, we can only support so many dynamic lights per level. So ambient is the way to go. Sweet. So chat says Bannockburn 1314 says fantastic game, buddy. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, I've been working on it a while trying to get the darn thing finished up. Okay. Let me see. I think at one point in time I also had props for this too. Let me dig through all my old stuff. Yeah, it looks like I do have some. Yeah, maybe looking at this old stuff would help me jog my memory as to what I was thinking it should look like. Okay. Yeah, so I had some. Looks like a window piece and a railing piece. Yeah, some sort of computer box. All these meshes have their own unique textures, which is I guess isn't the worst. It's kind of not the practice we followed in Delver, but I want to pull these in the game anyways just to see how they look. Yeah, so Delver is a custom engine written in Java. Here, let me play the actual game so you can actually see it, because this right here is a pretty major departure. This is me using our level editor to make some custom content. Let me close that out and let me actually play the game and show you what it's all about. Yeah, so Delver is a fantasy first-person dungeon crawler with RPG, roguelike elements, all that good stuff. Um, So it is procedural, so every time you play, it's different. This is the campfire. So this serves as a shop that you can buy equipment in between runs. So the game has permadeath, but when you die, you retain your gold, and you can come back here to buy loot that may help you get a little bit of heads up or get a little bit of a leg up. Go down here. And just kind of exploring the dungeon. Again, yeah, spike traps. So sometimes with PCG you get a lot of enemies, sometimes you don't. It's kind of up for the computer to decide. Ooh, an excellent skull cap. It decides what kind of gets thrown in where, which is always fun as a designer to play, or as one of the creators to play, because you never know what it's going to throw your way. Excellent iron dagger. I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to the other one because it's the weapons do degrade over time and eventually they will break. So it's not bad to have like a weapon on hand that is a backup. That's no good. Let me get rid of that. Not gonna consider that. Okay. Just exploring the dungeon here. Oh, let's go. Level up. So let me pick one of my stats. Let's go speed, right? That's a fun thing. Ooh, and a fire wand. So magic wands kind of serve as first-person shooter weapons. This particular one is a paralyze wand. So I can stun enemies for a few seconds. Oh, crap. And in the case of flying enemies, they will drop to the floor. This wand is basically the rocket launcher, so I can explode things, which is helpful. There we go. Excellent iron sword. So let me go ahead and swap out that and throw away the dagger. And there we go. Ooh, Coward's Worn Quilted Pants of the Rabbits. No thanks. So that's a new system that was put in the last update that came out in when did the last update come out? December. Yeah, last month. Ooh, secret door I missed. Let me switch back to my little dagger and knock these open. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so we put the enchant system in last update. It still needs a little bit of tweaking, but it's something new to play with, and it's exciting. It's nice to find kind of crazy weapons that you've never seen before. Bannockburn1314 says, "Man, the art is beautiful." Thank you. Yeah, that's my job. So there are two of us. Crap, that was a bad idea, Joshua. There are two of us working on this project. I'm Joshua. The other person on the project is named Chad. I'm the art guy, so all the 2D, 3D art, UI, everything you see, I'm responsible for. I do a little bit of level design, a little bit of programming. Again, because we're a two-man team, we wear a lot of hats. And Chad is the main programmer, designer, business guy, everything else that I'm not, I suppose. In a way, he completes me. Cool. Just kind of exploring around. If you get turned around, you can press M to bring up the map, and that kind of should give you an idea of where you might want to head. This wand is no longer useful, so I'm going to pitch it. And okay. There we go. Ooh, a bow. It's not great, but I don't have a bow yet, so it might be worthwhile hanging on to until I find arrows or a better bow. Let's go health.
Quit hiding.
It's not a bad way to go, but it's not the sexy way to go. There we go. See, swap this out already. Okay, so we got a better short bow. Nimble fine. Ooh, this is way better than what I have now. It's 6 to 9 damage, 3 ice, and +2 speed, which is crazy. So this is 9 to 12. Yeah, let me just swap that sucker out. Oh. And the zombie poisoned me, of course. Oh man, so poison won't kill, but it will certainly reduce my health down to one. It does damage over time, so I shouldn't be poisoned too long. Let me try drinking potion number two and see what happens. Yeah, that was a good one. So potions, their effects are randomized. Um, um, uh, and every time you play, the potion does a different thing.
Aye.
For each run, the potions are do the same thing, but until you so when you start a new run, they do different things. Yeah, thanks, Panic Burn 1314. Yeah, I went ahead and put out the link there. We're on Steam Early Access for $7.99. We're trying to get it finished up this year for full 1.0 release. For this current update, we are working on adding proper Steam Workshop support. So the game has almost always supported mods, which is pretty cool. Our modding community has made some really interesting stuff. Um, um, and we think so. We want to make sure that they have good workshop support, so it's easier to discover and also like manage custom content that the folks create. So part of my work is making example mods for people to kind of use as templates to follow along with, which is what you saw me working on um, at the top. And also, I want to be able to make it flexible enough for people to localize it. So I've been also working on, uh, pardon me, making sure that modders can actually localize the text into the language of their choice. But yep. So there are this is just the first level. There are multiple levels, and the deeper down you go, you encounter new traps, new enemies, all that good jazz. In that way, it's very tropey as far as RPGs are concerned. Hey, Seven Soul, or I think the internet tells me to pronounce your name Enrique. If that's close, if that's terribly wrong, I will call you Seven Soul. He says, found a new bug. When I equip an amulet using the equip bar, and I have something already equipped, it disappears. Let's test that out. Let's fire it up and see if that's correct. Let me go ahead and erase that save and start a new game. So he says, when I have an amulet, so let's add ourselves. Where do they? Amulets are technically considered armor, so amulet protection and amulet of health. No, they're the exact same color. Okay. So if I hit 5, that gets equipped. And if I hit 6, they switch spots. Maybe if I close my inventory. So that's the protection 6, health, protection. And that seems to be it seems to be swapping out just fine for me. Oh, and I'm glad I got your name right. Cool. Um, yeah, I did spend some time watching some YouTube videos on how to pronounce your name. Um, cool. Yeah, so I'm not sure why yours is behaving differently. Is there anything that I'm doing differently that you were doing? Um, like specifically, like was your inventory full, or anything else that might be, I don't know what, but anything that might be um, different than me just firing up a new game and testing it out. But it seems to be okay on our end. But yeah, thanks for the feedback. Yeah. So part of the reason I do these streams is to let you know the development process and how things are done, and part of it's for feedback and making the game better, because the game is procedural in nature. That means there are many, many, many combinations that we can't test them all. We try to do as good a job as we can for two people, but the players really, really, really come through, and they really help us like find all the little edge cases, and we really appreciate it. And I try to be responsive as I can. We have a tracking system for all the bugs, so if it is a real bug, we will file it and we will fix it. Hey, Chad. So Chad is the other half of Delver. He's cutting in there in the stream. Cool. So if it happens if the amulet is in slot one, let me. So right now I'm trying to reproduce a bug that Inhike is reporting. Okay, plate. So he's reporting that his particular scenario is I don't know why I did that, but so he has an amulet in slot one, an amulet equipped, and when he hits the hotbar with number one, weird. I don't know why it's slot one, but yeah, that definitely happened. So let me try that again. So armor, protection. These are the same thing? No, they're different. Good. So if it's in slot two, does it repro? No, they swap. So hopefully Chad, you caught that. That's some interesting behavior. I don't know what's so special about slot one, but it certainly happened. Will that do it for anything? Let me just verify that. So armor, uh, leather armor, and then put that in slot one. So this is, and if I hit one, yeah, weird. This is a bad bug. Yeah, I guess normally we keep the equipped weapon in slot one, so I guess we haven't really noticed it until now. Um, so that's not super great. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just file a bug on it, even though Chad's here. I'll just go ahead and write it up so we don't lose it. Okay. New issue. I guess, yeah, since I'll let you guys see how I'm doing it. So we have GitHub issues. Oh, and it looks like my mouse is dying. Give me a second. I have a wired mouse in my closet. Okay. Yeah, I tried changing my batteries for mouse before the stream began, but I couldn't find fresh ones. Okay. Are you working? There we go. Okay, I got the new mouse plugged in and it seems to be working just fine. Okay. So this is let's say equipable. Equipable? Is that even a word? Two P's? Equipable items disappear if used from hotbar slot one. And the summary. If you are already wearing a piece of armor and you use the hotbar to replace it if the item is hotbar slot one, the old item disappears. Okay, that looks right. Let me see. Let me do this real quick. Repro steps. Put an amulet. select in slot 1, press 1, observe emulate from step 1 is now gone. Okay, let me label it as a bug that is player reported. I'll go ahead and add it. I'll add it to this the workshop update. That seems fine. Um, Let me see. That should be enough to get us going. I'll go ahead and assign it to Chad. That seems fair. Seems like a good person to fix it. Um, and yeah, so it has labels, it has a milestone, has a person working on it. Let's submit it. Cool, and we're done. um, so that can happen. So in the temple area, the enemy groups can recursively they can recursively create themselves. So sometimes you do find stacks. Um, yeah, I need to tweak that a little bit. I could simply get around if I can let me hop over to the editor. I can show you kind of what's happening. So del edit run and let's create a big empty room. And then right in the middle, let's place I think it's called a encounter set 4x4. And see here, it looks like it stacks to the ceiling, which isn't always the case. But what happens is, if you look at the definition for that particular entity, so if we go to assets, data, like entities, and then we look for encounter, an encounter set. So the encounter set is a prefab, and it's either encounter set piece 0 or encounter set piece 1. And encounter set piece 0 is 1, 2, 3. It's 4 enemies that each have a 50% chance to spawn. But if you look at encounter set piece 1, it creates an encounter set piece 0, which creates enemies, but it recurses with an encounter set piece 1, if that makes any sense. Um, so basically, like there is the numbers get a little flaky, but there's like a 50% chance that it will try to create 8 enemies. There's a 25% chance it'll try to create 12. But each of those enemies only has a 50% chance of actually showing up. So the stats are a little weird on it. But yeah, so it's a recursive definition for encounters, just so that way it's yeah, the temple is already really hard, but I wanted it to kind of have this dynamic thing where you never really know how many enemies you're facing. So hey, looks like we have some folks showing up in the stream. So I'll kind of redo a little quick recap since I kind of started like randomly. So hey, I'm Joshua. I'm working on the game Delver. Let me pull up in the website for you. So it's delvergame.com. This is what I'm working on. I'm one half of Delver. The other half of Delver is cutting in there in chat. It's a passion project. We've been working on it for 4 years. I'm the art guy, so everything visual I'm in charge of. And today, I guess for this upcoming update, we're aiming for a March release. We want to have proper Steam Workshop support. So what I'm doing is I'm making example mods that will help us test the Steam Workshop support, but also serve um, as hopefully a good guide for people making content in the future. So if you're so interested, you can go out to my GitHub. And I have, so it's Joshua Skelly slash, or GitHub Joshua Skelly slash Delver example mods. And this is the repo where I'm putting out the example mods that I create. And, feel free to use, this as a template for the stuff you want to make for Delver. And going back to the enemy spawner thing too, if this if the recursive piece simply had a bit of rotation on it, it might help, like a 5-degree rotation along the Z. That might help with some of the enemy stacking. Or if you could have it, you could have this offset itself. So every time it recurses, it just changes a little bit more. But yeah, so let's go back to what I was working on. So we fire open delve edit, and I have this little mod here, and I found some. Chad might be excited about this, but I found some old sci-fi tiles that I had done once, kind of on a lark. Um, so let's go ahead and hook those back up. So they're the example texture sheets. Let's do something like that. And the lower wall is the same thing. And the ceiling, for lack of a better, is that. And the floor also is that. And let me see. Um, what you can do, let me go ahead and I will drag out, make sure this is too high. Okay, there we go. That should be too high. And now what I can do is I can raise this and then lower the ceiling. And then now I can select an upper wall texture, say this cool pattern here, and then down here on this, so I get this kind of effect, which is nice. And then I can just kind of go around and hit Shift Enter to paint. And then I can kind of do that for all the areas here. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, so you only have to do it once in Hike. After that, you can just like if you save the level and you come back, you can always hit the G key, and it will pick the correct texture and sheet for you. So the initial setup's a little bit of a pain, but after that, it's not so bad. Or maybe I'm just kind of like conditioned to be okay with it. So I'm just gonna put like I have some of this stuff because um, oh, I want to turn off paint adjacent. I don't want to paint the next tiles. I just want to paint the tiles I have selected. So like that. And then maybe I can select this and pull this, that. I guess the nice thing is about this texture is it's kind of built around like built on a grid, so I can use it as trims like that, which is pretty cool. And then here I can pull this up like that, down. And then I can do something like, will the computer fit? Yeah, the computer will fit just fine. Look at that. Nice. And then maybe, do I have another texture I can throw on the top there that looks sci-fi-y? Not really. Yeah, that doesn't look right. That I have these little uh, great things here in the lower wall, like, and I even had some branding too that I don't know. This was some old art I threw at a guy years ago that the project never panned out, and so no big deal. And it's really dark. Cool. Let me see. Maker Images says, "Hey, what's up? Hey, I'm just working on so working on example mod content for Delver. Hey, Nolan, how are you? Thanks for stopping by the stream. And I also had some models I want to pop in here just to see if I can make good use of them. So let me go through that process. Um, and it would probably also be good um, for the example mod 2 to have some meshes in here. I'm showing you how things work. So let me make sure that I have my grid set up correctly for Delver. Um, I should be fine. So a Delver unit is one Blender unit. Um, nope, I might do some ceiling light textures, Chad. That's a great suggestion. Right now, the texture sheet's pretty darn minimal. Again, because this was years ago on TigSource. Somebody was working on a project and they were looking for an artist, and I didn't have time, but I did have like a couple hours free one evening, so I made these textures to throw at him in hopes that this could help him attract another artist. But then he ran out of time. But yeah, I think I think I want to do sprites like little Doom light poles and maybe some stuff coming down from the ceiling too. But yeah, I think that would definitely be cool. Again, this is going to be an example mod out there on my GitHub repo for people to look at and making stuff with Delver. Um, so I'm trying to think about the best way because we have a couple of pieces here. We have this. We're trying to make sure this will work good in the Delver engine without a lot of extra work. So we have a couple of railing pieces. So if I move this down there and I move that down there, and then let's look. So if this is snapped to the grid, yeah, this is a little problematic unless it's designed to kind of go here in the middle. Let me see. So get Y 0.5. Yeah, let me actually select this face. Or actually, let me select this vertex, snap the cursor there. Let me set the origin to the cursor. And then let me hit Alt G to clear out the position. And now I can say get X1, get Y 0.5 minus, and that should put it right there. And then this, so I guess if this sits in the middle of a tile, it will work, um, which is okay, I think. And it should also function for the inside and the outside piece. So let me go ahead and yeah, so this is not a total conversion, Chad. This is just going to be like imagine like how Spelunky has that weird alien level thrown in. Maybe that, but this is mostly just an example for people to see how you can create your own wall texture set, add meshes, add level pieces. I guess earlier this stream I was trying to think about what would be a good way for people to actually, let me see, over here on this the dungeons.dat. So right now this is just a list of um, it's a list of levels, and if you want to add custom levels, you have to replace this entire list. And I was trying to think of a good mechanism for people to um, insert levels into it without redefining. Okay, so let's pull in this railing and see how that works. So let me, also it's really important to make sure that the origin is correct. So Delver assumes the origin is at the center bottom. So let me make sure that is the case. So let me Alt G, Tab A, get X minus 0.5. So that will put that in the center there. This is mostly just for like bounding box purposes. Um, cool. Let me file, export OBJ. And from here, make sure you tick selection only. Um, um, don't want to write materials, but you do want to include UVs, and you want to triangulate faces. Because if you don't tick that, it will export out quads, and Delver expects triangles. And then let's go ahead and go to um, my example mod here. And looks like I need a new folder. Typically, the pattern we follow is there should be a meshes directory, and inside that we should have, so let me go ahead and do that real quick over here in my project. So we have, um, this is example dungeon floor. And we have a data generator textures, so we also need to create a new folder called meshes. And inside that folder, we need to create a new folder called example. So that way it agrees with all the other, um, again, just trying to stay consistent. So this is a good example for folks. Um, cool. So we have meshes example, and then in here, let's go dungeon floor, meshes example, and this is going to be called railing underscore, let's just call it railing underscore straight export. And okay, I can hide that. And now this one needs to live basically right here in the middle. Something like that. Let me make sure I'm not goofing on my 1, 2, 3, 4. My division's weird. Hmm. Hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that seems right. So here we can just say set origin and do it to, actually we hit Shift C, put the 3D cursor back in the center of the scene, and then do set origin to 3D cursor. And then now we can export this one out to file export OBJ. It will save your export preferences, which is cool, but I want to call this one railing underscore corner. Export that, and then I need to copy over the, the the texture for that. So I need this railing railing texture. So back to example mods, dungeon floor, textures, example, and paste. And let's just call this railing mesh. I'll just call it railing. Keep it easy. Okay, so that should be the object and the texture. So let's go ahead and see if we can get it actually working in the editor. So let's fire up Delver or Delvedit. And let's create a room. Let's add an entity basic, actually just entity misc meshes. Great, because it's small. And then here it needs to be meshes slash, what do you call it, example? Slash railing underscore straight dot obj. Is that right? Oh, oh. I forgot to copy it over. So let me copy this. Let me pop over to my mods directory here. And then replace all that stuff. There we go. Now we should see the mesh file. And really, we don't even really need a room. We can just plop the mesh right here in the center of the scene. No problem. So let's try that now. So it needs to be example bold slash railing underscore strai. Yep, there we go. And then it needs to be textures slash example slash, and it should be railing dot ping. Cool. That looks correct. Um, yeah, and now we can do the old, like we can fix the hitbox if we wanted to. We can also use our we can kind of use Control and Alt to drag out and snap together all this stuff, which is fun. Um, Let me go ahead, and I think what would be helpful is not to have to define that every single time. So let's go ahead and make this into a prefab so it's easier to work with. So to JSON, and then this is what we get. So let me go ahead and copy this. Let me close this out, and let's go ahead and create. This should work. Let me new file. This is an entities.dat, and let's look at how Delver defines its entities, just so we can kind of do it correctly. So data entities.dat. Let's go ahead and split that out. Let's close that. So here we need brace entity entities. There we go. This just looks like, I think, yeah. So fortunately, so entities and then areas, breakables, decorations, clutter, doors, lights, furniture, risk meshes, control meshes, groups, articles. So I'm not sure if actually, because it looks like entities actually doesn't have a class attached to it. So like if you notice like this has a class definition. So I think it generally means that we're serializing this out to some sort of Java object. So these properties are pretty strictly enforced. But if you look at, for example, areas doesn't have a class associated with it. So it might just be a more generalized object, or it might even be like a dictionary. Um, so I think we can just create our own little entry here. So let's call it, um, let's just call it example meshes, because that's the, I guess, the thing we're running with here is example everything. And then inside there, it's just another series of, so these actually need to be objects. So if I paste in our, I can paste in our, this is our model. The rotation minus 360 isn't going to do a lot, so we can clear out that. It is important to grab the railing. Um, the collision isn't correct, but we can go back and fix that. But let's go ahead and just save this. And let's just verify that this actually picks up in the editor. And let me, before I forget, let me copy that and then paste it over into our mods folder over here. Yep. And let's launch the editor. And see what that should do now is we should get like a place entity. Do we not get example meshes in here? Maybe that works differently. Gotcha. So Chad is clarifying with some of the serialization stuff. So it looks like my my entity thing is not actually being merged in, which is interesting. Unless I don't see it, so it should be. Should be a new group called example meshes, which I'm not seeing. So let's try to troubleshoot that and figure out what's going on. Um, is that a, blah, 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 blah. That should be okay. Um, can we take, actually, take take a peek at source code and make sure I'm doing that right. Um, or if we even merge, we might not actually merge entities. Yeah, we should. We should. Let me debug this. Uh, Python user says, "Hello, Joshua and Delbert folks. Hey, thank you for stopping by." Okay, let's ignore the localized stuff for now. Okay, interesting. Why did it not? I was for sure that should have hit that. Load entity manager. Maybe the weird. Where is this defined? Weird. So I'm not quite sure where Delbit actually is pulling in this entity information from because it's not hitting my breakpoints. Um, we can take a quick look. Delve edit. Starter, new editor. Let's see. Okay, so Chad's saying that the editor's not actually doing that yet. Okay, so that might not be the best way to do it right now. So unfortunately, it looks like I'm just going to have to manually define them, which is not great, but it's okay. I can work around it for the time being. So let's go ahead and he's saying editor frame 373 should be where I'm. Oh yeah. So this should be entity manager. So he's just serializing it from JSON, and we really should do something like game.mod manager dot load entity manager. This returns the entity manager, something like this. But this is also like game. This hopefully this is not it. So my concern is this might not actually be instantiated. Let me. So if game.mod manager not null. Else. Then let me throw a breakpoint right in here and see what I get. Also, how is my stream quality? I saw a little bit of lag on my camera there. I'm worried that I might be stuttering a little bit. So the mod manager is not null. That's good. And then yep, cool. So now all this stuff is happening. Oh, did I get an exception? Nope. Okay. Sweet. So this should actually work. So now Maybe. Okay, cool. Looks like chat is confirming that my stream is looking all right. For some reason, that still didn't come through. Let me just verify that the data on that real quick. Okay. Step. Okay. So, yep, it found root and it found my dungeon floor mod. This should just be um, so entity manager. So this should have all the entities in it right now, which looks fine. Should find, okay, I'm getting an exception. Interesting. Did I goof up my JSON? Error parsing file. Um, Let me inspect my JSON. It's looking okay. Let me. Yeah, so it won't bail, but it will complain. Okay, so continue. Okay, that one loads fine. This one, let me step into. Um, so it says line 4. We should actually probably, since I wrapped this up, I should probably do something about um, outputting this error so folks have a better chance of debugging their broken JSON. So line 4, what have I goofed on line 4? Uh, this needs a name, it looks like. So up, there we go. Because this is a property, so this needs to be something like railing. There we go. That makes sense. Now let's try it. Python user is saying, what are we trying right now? Loading a custom mesh from JSON into the editor. So we have a prefab system that you can define, you know, basically, prefab is a collection of entities and they're predefined. You can load them from JSON, and that's what I'm making sure happens correctly. I'm also making sure that you can, looks like it's still not doing it correctly. I'm making sure that if you define a list of entities um, in your mod, you can get to it easier. This is just like a quality of life thing for mod makers. Let me debug it again and see what's going on. So continue, step into, step over, exception. What's my exception? Same thing. So still line 4. Oh, Joshua, because I need to copy and paste. Yeah, because my mod repo lives outside of the developer source control repo. Should explain it. Let me just debug it and make sure it actually does the right thing this time. Continue. Step into, over. Cool. And then now it actually pulled back this entity with one thing in it, which is our example meshes. The example mesh just has one item called a railing, which is cool. Um, yeah, so continue. So now, ba, 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 oh my goodness, in Delve Edit, I should be able to place entity example meshes railing. Nice. So this is basically allowing mod makers to define their own entity groups, which can be helpful. Like for example, for the temple area, we have a set of things for the temple. It's just a little organization thing. Yeah. So let me also, if I really let me fix the collision while I'm thinking about it. So point, so this is X and Y. So one of those needs to stay 0.5, and one of these needs to be, so if I say X, yeah, so the X needs to be smaller. So let's say 125. Wrong way, Joshua. So let's go here. 125, I think that's correct. And then here, this needs to be, I think it's 0.5 tall. Is that right? No, is it 1 tall? That seems odd. Is it taller than 1? How big is this thing? Yeah, it is, wow. Yeah, so the scale on that is not right. Yeah, because yeah, so that's another thing too, is trying to get your scale right for your custom content. So let me make a room. Let me put in my example tiles. Okay, and even if, because I do want to be, I think it looks nice when um, the ceiling is too high versus 1 high, but I hit a breakpoint. Let's just ignore that and keep going. Not interested in breakpoints right now. Did I continue? Yeah, that is way too big. Actually should be, let me just ballpark the scale and try to figure out how I can fix it, because I mean I can simply just scale it to 0.5, right? But then it kind of breaks how, oh, I keep hitting breakpoints. I thought I scaled that down. I did scale that down. Why is it? There we go. That's not so bad. I mean, it's not, the pixels aren't consistent, which makes my skin crawl a little, but I can probably get over it. It's too tall, but I can just bump that down on the Z, right? So I can grab it here, and I can say Z down a couple. That's too low. Pull it up one. Nice. That feels correct. So then also probably means my railing needs tweaked too, right? So if I place entity mismatch, or actually place entity not as a prefab, just as an entity, and let me place. Yeah, we need to figure out. Like we have so many entries in here now. This is getting a little silly. So actually, let me just delete that. Let me create a copy of this by using Alt and dragging it, and then changing the mesh file from railing straight to railing corner, I think is what I called it. Okay, so that's the correct scale. But if I want things to actually line up and look right, like this needs to be like basically too wide now, and this is going to need some sort of, because I'm trying to make this line up with the grid nicely. Otherwise, it's going to be a bear to use if it doesn't, right? So I'm trying to make a nice set for people to build stuff with. So I might have to, let me get this. Yeah, it looks like I goofed up the origin too, so it's not even lining up with this nicely either. So a couple things to fix. So I need to scale down this railing So it looks like this just out of the gate, and probably need to make it smaller too. Um, yeah, let's play around with our meshes to make that happen. Okay, let's unhide that. Let's hide that. One. I think I moved it down 4. And I'm just gonna just chop off the the bottom here. I'm going to just slide this, and then I'm just going to is that correct? Let me think about this because I actually scaled it first. Um, so get Z, and then scale 0.5, about 3D cursor. It's still looking okay. Get Z down 2. I think that might be the more correct. Cut it and put it there, and then just make sure I'm getting all those verts and delete them. There we go. And now this is half a Del Rey. So I want to get x 0.5. No, get x minus 0.25. And I want to duplicate. There we go. I also want to delete this face because it's inside and nobody will ever see it. Remove bubbles. Cool. There we go. Let me select this and re-export it. OBJ, railing straight. Export. Cool. And that should have kept all of our. So the nice thing about having a prefab is it should still just have a good. It should still just work, right? It should be able to drop in a railing, except for I need to copy it over because I'm working out of a different directory. So Control C, Control V. Well, go back here. Now let's try it. Okay. And then entity, example meshes, railing. And I think I goofed something up. Or did I just misclick it? There we go. Nope. So if I add a floor, does that seem to be inappropriately sized? Yep. But I goofed. I shouldn't have. So what I did is I did a remove doubles, and I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, because here the thing is, if I turn on under, let me see, there should be an option here to say hide back facing. Yeah, backface culling. So what I did when I duplicated or when I removed doubles is I got rid of these faces I had duplicated, then I had flipped them, so you have texture on both sides. And when I merged the vertices, I lost that. So let me just re-export that. That's a railing straight. Let me get that right. And then also, since we know that's about right, let's figure out how we're going to fix this. So we can scale it by scale 0.5, and then let's go ahead and move it down. And then we can chop this off like the other one. And then we can remove these bottom vertices. Okay. And the problem now is making sure that these play well with the grid. And I guess the decision here is, do we make it play well um, when it's aligned along the edge of the grid, or do we make it play well when it's aligned with middle of the grid? Because it looks like I messed up my. Okay, so actually, what I should be able to do is just say something like select this vertice, then cursor to selected, set origin to my 3D cursor, and then I can Alt G, and this should fix my weird. Yeah, so this actually now should align this back up so that it correctly will snap with the rest of the geometry. Um, or so get x.5, get y.5. So this is what we're looking at. So we need to either, looks like we're going to need to make it, because if we, this is the middle, so if we, yeah. Yeah, it looks like this is going to need just a small chunk right there to actually make it work. Um, I think in either case, really. Um, and I think maybe the middle of the tile. I don't know. I mean, I'll try to make it. I'll try to make it work, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's just delete these duplicates. Let's look at this one. We have the same issue down below, so let's go ahead and duplicate these faces and then flip them. And then I think what I'm going to do, let's just grab this face. Let's grab this and Shift D, and let's just scoot it over. Yep, that should be just about right. And let's just make all this stuff line up. Let's just turn on vertex snapping. Okay. And then let's go ahead and fix our UVs because we've kind of goofed up the pixel perfect texture we had here. So I think, let me see. I think we're trying to make sure my grid is correct, but it seems to be misbehaving a little. Let me get X. Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's right. Okay, so then I can use that as a reference for the rest of this stuff. There's not, I even missed the bottom, so let's here we can turn on also in the UV editing. You also turn on vertex snap as well, which is the default, and then you can just snap that there. Nice. How do I achieve pixel perfect textures? Python users are asking, and basically it's just this. It's just making sure that my unwrap tries to, you know, as closely, as closely as I can, match the just kind of align the pixels and the vertices as best I can. So I try to build my geometry on a grid, and I try to make sure the unwrap preserves that. A quick trick you can do in Blender is if you hit Shift R, it will repeat the last action. So that's how I jumped that. So if you look here, what it does is hit get X4. They look like it was only half as much, so hit Shift R to repeat that action, and then that put it in the correct spot. Okay. So I need to flip the face on that. Shift D, Control Shift N. Make sure Control N. There we go. So that's looking good. And let me grab all these pieces. Okay, that should be everything I need for this other side here. So let me duplicate. Let me increment, rotate 90. Get, there we go. I think that should be correct. Nice. Let me go ahead and just, again, because I worry about these things, let me just remove that. And then remove that. Make sure there's no faces on the inside. Cool. There we go. Now we have our railing corner. Let me, so file, export, obj file, railing up, examples, railing corner, export. And now what we can do is, it should be just as simple as going into, we have this entity definition, or this prefab definition right here, so we can just copy this. Don't forget your comma and your JSON, paste it, and then call this railing corner. And then we can add railing corner as the mesh reference here. And it uses the same texture, which is nice. So this should just work. So let me copy that and then paste it here. And then let me launch our editor and see what it looks like. So Python user says, what are the scaling size of the pixels? I try to have, so for example, like in Delver, I know that so one Delver unit corresponds to one Blender unit. I know in Delver, the default texture size is 32 by 32. So I try to set up my Blender grid to match that, so I can verify that I'm always building on the correct pixel grid. Having said that, though, Delver is not it's not pixel perfect. There are places where we fudge a little bit, but I think um, I think we have good reasons for doing what we do. So yeah, looks like the railing is coming out okay. Let me create a little example room again. Let me go back to our example textures. Okay, and yeah, this should be easy enough to place. You hold down Shift and Control, you can kind of make sure they snap kind of where you want them. And these should just kind of, you should throw these. Then if you hit Y, you constrain to that axis, and then Alt Control, and just start dragging out a happy little set of rails. And then Alt Control drag this over here, and you can hit T to turn it. And then you can kind of Control Shift it into place, which is looking all right. Yeah, happy little railing. Let me go ahead and just fix the collision on this because it's not right. It's all goofy. So so it should be something like the Y, I think was the correct one. And then the height 0.5. Okay. So the 0.5 is correct. The width is not. So the width is 1, 2, looks like 6. Is that right? 8. 8 over 32 is 0.25. I thought 1.25 should be correct. Let me try 0.625. There we go. Nice. So that's correct. So I can really quickly just, actually, if I want to just right click to JSON, I can grab this little JSON pop-up. I can grab the collision section out of it. copy that, go back into here, and paste it in for railing. And that will fix up our collision on that. Um, the collision on this is going to be a little tricky because of the shape of the mesh, right? It's not a convex um, it's not a convex mesh, right? Um, is to say like this one is nicely encapsulated by the bounding box, but this one will not. So the trick with that is to make it a group and to add multiple bounding boxes. So let's go ahead and do that. So this will be just a simple mesh, and this one will be a group, but that's okay. So we got that there. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me see, let's turn off is solid. We want it to not be solid. And then we want to add an entity, areas, and a collision area. So a collision area is basically a bounding box. It just has a little icon so you can actually find it. This is also it's useful, if you remember the old days of like Quake or some of the older CSG based engines, you had a thing called like a clipping brush. And this can also function in the same way. Like if you need to wall off chunks of the level where people can't go, you can use a collision area. But for this, I'm going to try to get it as close as I can. So let's say, I know the Z needs to be 0.5, so let's do that. And then the X, I think, is 0.25? No, less, 125. So it looks like I'm making this side here even less than that. So 0.625. Okay, that is correct. And then this one needs to be even smaller, so 2.5. That is the fiddly bit about these is they're based on the center, so you got to kind of figure out what works well. So this looks like it's. So if I were to take a, ooh, looks like I got these. This looks like did I goof up the? I thought I got the. Maybe I got the texture wrong on this, but we can fix it later. But if we look at this, maybe there's an easy way to measure in Blender. I'm not sure. It has to be. I think there's 16 subdivisions on my squares right now. I think that's what I set it to. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9/16 divided by 2 because we're at half scale. I think that's the number we want. So let me pop open the calculator and see if that's correct. So 9/16 divided by 2. 28125. Seems way too big. What did I do wrong here? Oh wait, that's the length, right? So 28125, 28125. And if I just shift it over, does it snap? Okay, it won't snap because it's an odd size, but that is the correct dimension. And I got that positioned as close as I can because it's not on the, yeah, it's not perfectly on the grid, but let me just duplicate that. Let me rotate it. And let me kind of try to shove it back into place as best I can. And then kind of just kind of eyeball it there. Cool. So if we hit play, this should be correct. Cool. So what we'll do is we'll select, we'll try to select all of these if we can. So sometimes you kind of have to move the mouse to find the sweet spot. Okay, cool. So that is that. And sometimes it helps, sometimes it really helps if you have it defined near the center. There we go. And let me make sure that's as close as I can get it. There we go. That should actually be the right position. So I can right click, group together, and then now when I right click to JSON, it should give me the JSON describing that group. So I can copy all this, and then I can go to my definition for the railing corner, and it's no longer just a model, it is a group, which is a little bit more involved, but that's okay. Sometimes this last position can be a little troublesome, so we might need to clear that out. But for the most part, I think this is correct. Let me save this and let me relaunch the edit. Well, I can't remember, do I have to relaunch the editor or can I just, I thought there was some way of, uh, yeah, I thought there used to be a way to actually refresh all the, yeah, I'll just relaunch the editor. Um, no big deal. Now, yeah, I need also need to copy over that stuff too, right? So Control C, Control V, yep. And then let's go back into the editor. And then now, um, actually, let me just go ahead and, I've been doing this enough times, I should just save out this level so I don't have to keep doing this. So let me do that. Okay. Oh, I goofed up. I missed the floor texture. Floor example. Here we go. And file, save as. Here, and where are we? I don't want to make just a new folder called levels. And this tends to be our practice too, is just to have a have the levels directory kind of contains the one-off area rooms that we don't always intend to use, but sometimes they're good for examples. So if you pull open the levels folder inside of Delaware, you'll see a lot of our test stuff, which can be useful for figuring out how we do stuff. Let's go ahead and place our corner and see if it works. It does not work. Oh, because I warned about it. Sometimes this does happen. So let's close this. Let's go back here, and then if you delete this last position property, that usually fixes it. Okay. I'm not quite sure what that last position property is used for. I'm kind of, my hunch is it's something around undo, but Cuttigan would be the correct person to answer that. So file open. Let's open up our test level, so you don't have to watch me keep recreating it. Let's go ahead and place entity example meshes corner. Sweet. There we go. It looks like it worked okay. There we are. Let me think. I think another thing I can do, if I ungroup it, I can actually, I think I can set the check, just to make it look a little bit nicer in the editor, I think I can actually just, I think I might be able to null out the texture, just to make it look a little bit nicer, a little bit more manageable, because we don't really care, once we have it grouped up, we don't care about the collision stuff in there. So these areas collision, if we kill that, actually that might pick a, well, let's see what it does. I think it's going to default to unknown, and it won't fix try to do the thing I'm trying to do, but we'll see. File open. This test level. And when we place entity example mesh in the early corner, yeah, they just have question marks now, which really isn't It's not really what we wanted. I guess we could just assign it an unused texture. Um, it's just assign the last one in the sheet, and that shouldn't be used for a while, I suppose. So that's texture 31. Okay. Save. Control C, Control A, replace. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's not a best practice. Not quite sure. Um, if you folks watching have thoughts, let me know. Especially Chad, since you're kind of I guess we both have our skin in the game as far as making all this mod stuff work well and promote it. Entity or prefab, example meshes, corner. There we go. Sweet. I guess if I place it as a prefab, you can't even see it. Let me undo that and make sure that's the case. So where's that? Actually, let me take a quick break, and I'll be right back. I need to grab a well, yeah, I should just take a quick break, a little coffee break. Um, slash 20 slash 2017. Make sure that's right. All right, I'm back and I have fresh coffee. Nice. Okay, so let me just, I think I'm just going to leave this at 19 just for best practices. Um, I don't want to do anything fancy. I want things just to be kind of straightforward so folks can understand what we're doing. So I'm going to leave it like that. And I think I have enough right now to build out an interesting level. Um, so let me take a peek at that. Okay, so if I select all of this and hit G, I can grab my textures, which is cool. Um, let me think. Let me go ahead and make this too tall again because I like that look. Okay, and then over here, I will. I think I could do something like I think if you make your selection starting in an open an area that's already been carved out and hit enter, it should match the ceiling height, which is handy. And then now what I can do is I can smash the floor and ceiling together. That way I can get an upper and lower texture. So I want the upper texture to be this red one. And that's cool for now. Um, uh, what else? Actually, I could do something like that, that. I can start placing a prefab, example meshes, railing. It still shows that, but that's fine. I can live with it. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's place a prefab example mesh railing. And let's just kind of throw together a little level and see if we like it. So I accidentally turned one of these, so let me try to get these lined up again. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's kind of cathartic building little levels. Um, yeah, the problem with groups sometimes is they don't update like you'd expect. So if you toggle on and off the lights, that should fix it. Um, yeah, it's a bit of a pain. Uh, maybe Chad could fix that. Um, but I mean, it's not. You could definitely work around it. It's not the end of the world. And I forgot to hit Alt. So Alt Shift Control Turn. There we go. There we go. X. Cool. I don't know why the railing is like that. Maybe it's to keep you away. Nice. Hey, Dr. Kegel, how are you? I think I'm going to lower the ceiling here, do something interesting with it, maybe. At least that's the hope. And then the upper wall should be maybe computers? Maybe? If that's interesting, I don't know. And then here, and I could add that little vent thing for the lower wall. Just add a little bit of interest. Also need to add some lights here. Entity lights, ambient. Let me turn the range up ever so slightly. And then make the color not pure white, but like maybe, like sometimes monitors tend to be a bluish, or yellowish is for like, so TVs tend to be blue, even though they display different color text, the light tends to be a little bluish. So let me try to do that. This kind of position this, however, whatever. It's not super realistic, but okay. Yeah, so this is all right. So I got this little prop going. Ooh, looks like weird. Did the collision volume not turn correctly on that? Looks like the collision. It's strange. Let me go ahead and file, save this room before I start tearing it apart. Dr. Kegel says, fine, thanks. Is this a mod or just for fun? Yeah, this is going to be an example mod of how to do a custom dungeon level. And so this is some old art I'm repurposing. So folks can see how you define textures for the walls, add new meshes, all that jazz. So it's going to be just a whole new um, a dungeon area-ish. I'm going to eventually add enough tiles to actually have it randomly generate, but right now I'm just pulling in all my old assets to make sure that things are working correctly. For some odd reason, it looks like this is not working correctly. So if I turn it and then I ungroup it, that looks right, but it doesn't, but the prefab doesn't feel right, which is weird. So if I delete the prefab, then I add another prefab, example meshes railing corner. So if I hit play, okay, the collision for that is correct. Now if I select that and I turn it, the collision for that is not correct. Yeah, it looks like, did it turn the wrong way? I'm not quite sure what it did. So it looks like there's another bug I need to log. I'll just go and do that off stream, but for now, I'll just use the entity seems to work okay, so I'll just place it as an entity. Example meshes railing corner. And then turn it and snap it into position and hit play. Now it is, wait, is it the one that's goofing or is it something else? Yeah, weird. So it's, if I ungroup it, does it behave properly? Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's definitely, let me go and just file that bug too. Okay. Issues, new. Pop that over there. So okay, and the summary is rotating a group with a mesh and collision areas. Does not work as expected. The mesh rotates, but the collision areas do not appear to. Let's see. All right, let's add it as a bug, and let's throw it on this current milestone. I'll have Chad take a look at that. I'll put in repro steps later. Let me make sure that looks correctly. All right, submit. All right, new bug filed. Zealand Quark. Okay, welcome to the channel. Okay. So ungrouping it made it work correctly. All right. Let me go ahead and just pull in a few more of those assets I had over here in my blend file, and we can actually start building levels. So I think the only other thing I wanted to pull in was, I think these are trim pieces, but I think they make this stuff too complicated. But I do have this window, which I think, let me see, which I think is all right. So let me, but it's so big, it's the problem, it's hard to use. What if I made it half size? So Choco Bunny says ideas, Star Wars localization, daggers or viper knives, etc. That's not quite a localization. That's more of a mod. Localization. Actually, let me. So I have about one more hour left here on my stream. Let me pull. Let me get this asset in, and then I'll switch over to doing more localization work since you brought it up. Actually, let me rethink this asset. So let me just go ahead and I'll put the stuff on pause. Um, yeah, it doesn't matter if I just go and quit. And let's actually let's take a look at some of the loc work. So let me go ahead and delete out this mod from source control. So I'm running just vanilla Delver. Okay, and let's look at this. And then here we have our strings.dat split vertically. And what this is, um, for example, is it maps. So this is a key. So screens.splash screen.press key to start. And then if you look at splash screen, frame, game, after start, mod manager, entities, dungeon, splash screen. It uses so it calls this game.localizedString.get, and it gets by this value. It gets back a localized string object, and the localized string object is a localized name. This property may change, but for now that works well enough, and that returns back press key to start. Um, I can really quickly just go to translate.google.com and go from English to, say, Spanish. This will be a terrible, terrible translation, but it should work well enough. It doesn't even use any of the special characters, so let me try something different. Let me German? That uses an umlaut, so let me copy that. Let me go over here and let me paste that. And again, I apologize. This is a Google Translate, so it's probably pretty odd. Um, and if I hit go back to main Delver and then I run that, um, it pulls in the translated string. So the plan is we will ship all the English strings with Delver. Um, yeah, and yeah, so like the scale is going to be a thing we're going to have to tackle too. But again, we're trying to get just basic localization support out there. So what it is um, this is a JSON object. It is just simply a hash map. So it has a bunch of keys and values. The key is this, and the value is this loc string. And the localized name is what we display. So for English, this will just be the English. And then also there's another property called a comment, and this will not actually be shown in game, but it's there to help the person who is localizing the text. For example, um, down here on the save slot, um, we do some string formatting. So we do so you have to be careful with localization that anytime you do you start doing stuff where you have like string plus string, you're kind of programmatically creating strings. It's better to do something like this where you can say we're combining these two strings, and then the comment says 0 is the name of the dungeon level and 1 is the number of the dungeon level. And then there's also this abbreviation for level here. So it gives a translator the correct context, and they can also move the positions of these words around. If we had just left it, like something like over here, like name plus, LVL, plus level, right? In some languages that might not make sense, right? So this is one of the things you can do in localization to give the translators a little bit more flexibility. Enrique says, so localization will be done solely via modding. Yeah. Um, um, so the reality of the situation is we don't have a lot of money for this project. It is we do it in our free time, and um, yeah. So there's a number of reasons. Like we can't afford to do official translations. Um, Actually, you can. If you look at the Long Dark, they have put it on their official page. I'm basically copying the same model the Long Dark has done, and that's how they support 20 languages, is because they count all the mods as languages. So I'm just following their pattern. Um, but yeah, so we're allowing the community to, yeah, it will. We'll put it on the, like, again, if you look how the Long Dark has done it, we're going to mirror that. So it will show up on the list of, because we can just go in and toggle whatever we want for our data. So I think if the community creates a good, so in Hike's case, if they create a good Brazilian translation and multiple community members say it's good, then we'll add that as an official language. Um, but yeah, so we can't afford official translations, and we can't anticipate which communities will um, which languages the communities will want. Yeah, so I mean, the developer, I mean, I guess on Steam, it's up for us as the developers to, as correctly, um, like be like so. So Enrique saying that you get with a lot of shady stuff. Like when we put the information in on our game, um, we just flip all the switches we think is correct. Like when we added controller support, like Steam has no way of detecting that. We just click that we have partial controller support, right? So like it's up to the developer to be as honest as we can. And frankly, I trust the community. If the community creates a translation and they say it's good, I'm willing to trust them. But again, it would be have to be if the community makes a language pack, and multiple community members say it's okay, and a little quick Google Translate says everything's okay, then I'll be okay in saying that we support that, and I don't want Steam to update. Chocobunny says that's really good foresight. Yeah, so my background is I am a software engineer by trade, and I have seen how. So I've worked for both Lexmark and Microsoft, and I've seen how big enterprises handle doing localization, and this is just kind of my lightweight approach on doing that. Um, they have way more comprehensive solutions. I'm just trying to do um, um, the most with what I can. Okay, so that is working. And right now, I'm just going to kind of go through and maybe hit some of the top stuff. Like I know we do some stuff like for example, like this 2016 priority interrupt games. We don't want to translate that. We want to leave it um, um, in English, so that does not need translated. Splash text does. I'm trying to think more what else. I thought there was some. Okay, so the splash screen is good. I think the main menu is what I wanted to take a look at. So we have um, 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 Soul Foam says, why Java? Um, that's a good question. I mean, it started off as a hobby project 4 years ago. We didn't have any intention of making a commercial product back then. So I think it was just done. You have to ask Cutting for that, but I think it was just for fun as an experiment. And yeah, I don't really have any really good reasons. I mean, it's been tough going forward, having a game written in Java, because it basically means that like porting the consoles is going to be a pain and probably really expensive. Um, Let me see. So it looks like here we have this progress text string. And I think if we run it, um, I think that is the string that shows up. Does it show up anymore? So let me try playing that, going down a level, and coming back out and see what happens. And I guess I would think like, Enrique, do you think it's false advertising? Do you take some offense to it? I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are here. Soulfoam says, "What are your biggest gripes with Java?" Um, I mean, for example, like consoles just simply don't run it, right? It is a managed language, which is it has pluses and minuses. Um, Again, it just there are perf issues that we have to be careful of, and the number of platforms we can hit is kind of limited by that. Um, so this is the main menu screen. Python user says maybe when you die. So this is the main menu screen. It is. Uh, Let me just debug it and see actually how it gets built. But this should be shown on this particular screen, not on the dev screen. So every screen should be its own class. Okay. So the progress. See how we're constructing this string by like adding concatenating strings together, which is kind of not a great for localization. It's not a great way to do that. So gold 40, death 0. Do we actually parse this and replace it with uh, maybe this might be so progress text is not empty. So maybe progress text doesn't even get surfaced to the user anymore. If Cuttigan is in here and could provide me a little bit of insight into that, that would be great. If not, no worries. So we're building out gold icon, skull icon, label. Um, hey Chad, so my question is we have this progress text that says gold, and then your total number of gold and deaths, your total number of deaths. This is for the main menu screen, and we were concatenating strings to build this. But actually, in game, if I were to run it, it actually shows up as icons and not actually the text labels. Yeah. And Hike also brings up a good point that we're hard coding the icons. Yeah. So definitely some point in the future, I want to give the UI some love and actually kind of redo it a little bit because right now we're just basically we're lifting the gold and the skull icons out of our texture sheet, which isn't the best way to do it. It would be more flexible to define that somewhere else. Yeah. So and Hike, that is definitely on my radar of things to do. Okay. So how is this used? So we have the progress string, progress text, but we don't actually ever, so we create a label with it. Yeah, we not, I'm trying to think, like, I don't think we actually show it. Okay, yeah, so Chad is confirming this is probably deprecated. But it looks like we do use it to see if the save slot is empty or not. So it's not entirely deprecated, but we don't actually use it in the way it used to be used. So this progress text is this info label. Where do we use the info label? Yeah, so the info label is commented out. Um, so I think that means I don't have to, I'm not going to worry about exposing that to translators because we don't show it anymore. So that's cool. So it looks like I think the main menu should be totally translated now. So all the buttons and stuff on the main menu um, uh, should be good. So I'm just going to copy. So again, another trick that a lot of folks use is just to copy and paste stuff. So I can uh, like for all this localized text, I can just go through and I can paste a C with a cedilla on the end. And now if I run it, we should make sure that should show us that all the strings are being hit. Yeah, so C with cedilla. Yep, it's everywhere. Sweet. So where to go to next? Um, am I still streaming? Uh-oh. Twitch seems to indicate that I'm not online anymore. Let me refresh. Okay, looks like I am online. I'm not sure what Twitch is saying. Um, let me just ask chat to verify that. Okay, cool. Yeah, for some reason my Twitch dashboard said that I was offline, which kind of freaked me out for a second. So okay, all this stuff is good. I'm trying to think now, should I actually start? Because like there's a big option screen, right? And we do need to translate that, and that should be straightforward, right? That should be just yeah. Let's just go ahead and do that. Let's do it. Let's not worry too much about it. Let me undo all this C with cedillas. Um, okay. Okay, cool. So that should be fine. Okay. So now let's take a look at the next screen we want to look at is options screen. There's lots of option screens. So this one looks like option screen. And I want to, yeah, so it looks like there's a back button, an input button. We have a game options title at the top. They have a whole bunch of options themselves. So let's go ahead and let's just start adding that in, right? So I kind of switched up. If you watched my last localization stream, I kind of switched up how I'm kind of structuring these keys. So the keys now kind of more closely align with the code, and that's just to make life easy for Chad and I. Um, so this should help us, at least in theory, it should make figuring out where a loc string lives should be easier. And this should be option screen, and then yep, let's just start going through. And so for our graphics options, we have low, medium, high. So graphics low, and the string here should be low. Also, you noticed from my last stream, I have played around a little bit, and it looks like our JSON serializer can handle uh, um, properly structured JSON. So um, the serializer we use prefers this what they call it a min style JSON, which these properties are not quoted. But the problem with that is for folks making mods, if you throw that into like a JSON validator or beautifier, it can't figure out what you're trying to do. But so for the loc stuff, it should be just vanilla JSON. You can use a beautifier. You can use like something to help you troubleshoot your your errors. So hopefully that allows you to use, there's lots of good third-party tools out there that help you deal with JSON. So this is graphics low, graphics medium, and graphics high. And then this needs to be, let me just copy this real quick. So this should be something like game.locstrings get, and then this. Dot localized name. Let me try to beautify this a little bit so it's not so ugly to look at. Okay, and copy that, and then let me just paste it here. Paste it there, and fix my tabbing. For some reason it wants to. So let's get rid of that. Let's fix our, this should be graphics medium and graphics high. Okay, cool. So if I run that and go to options, that should still be. Let me just make sure we actually even. I didn't even check to see if we surfaced that, so that might be me doing work I don't need to do. So let me just double check that. Okay, it is okay. So yeah, so we actually do show that string. So that is something you do need to consider is if you're not actually going to show the string, you don't need to localize it. So yep, so that looks correct. Okay. Let's look here. So this is internal. We don't need to translate that. We do need to translate the back button. I think over here, yeah, I just call it button. So let's create a new one. Let's call this. So it's screens, option screen, back underscore button. And this just needs to say back. And again, this is game.localized name. And then I just need to pass it this. And I think I might need to actually pad that. So also in my previous stream, I was padding it here in the translation, but I decided that was silly, like for the play button. So over here in the main menu, let me do play underscore button. What I do here is instead of basically I do a message format here, and I automatically pad the buttons because the buttons I think the current implementation of the buttons expect a little bit of padding so the image looks correct. Um, that might be the case, but let me go ahead and just get these buttons localized and see if I need to actually do that. So I was just at back and input. And also too, I've changed how we handle the mod manager handles the localized strings. So now it will actually merge together all the translations it finds. Um, this doesn't mean you can support multiple translations. They will like basically the last translation loaded wins. But what it means is if you're missing strings, the game won't bail. If you miss translating a string, it will just show the English one instead, which is the desired behavior. Okay, so input back. So here this needs to be. Uh, this, and then replace input with that, and then not back button, but input button. Okay, cool. Now this is the game options label. So did I call? I think I try to do provide, I guess I do try to provide if it belongs to that. So let me just call it screen label maybe. So screens dot option screen dot, let's call this header is what we call it in code. So I guess that works. And this is game options, and this needs to be game.localizeStrings.get localized name, and then we need to paste in this key here. Cool, Chad. Take care. Have a good lunch. Blah, 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 blah. That seems to be fine. So now we need UI size. I'm not sure what this is all about. That's curious. Let's call this header underscore label. And then this up here. Header underscore label. Okay. Again, this is the UI size label, so let me just, again, kind of repeat this. This is UI size label. And this text here is UI size. This space after that, let me just verify we need that. Okay. Game.localizeStrings.get localized name, and then paste this in. I've done a couple of these now, so let me just go ahead and run it to make sure I haven't broken things. Options. So yeah, UI size, game options, that looks fine. Again, if I paste in my C with Cydia, it should show up. Yep, no surprises there. Okay. So I think, I'm not sure what this x.xxx is. It says UI size value label. Does it show? Oh yeah, because it shows the 100.1, right? Yeah, it's on the options page here. Yeah, I think that's how we're doing it. So you can have between 35 and 150% sized UI. So that's gonna drive me crazy, but that's gonna have to be okay, I guess. Um, Maybe we should snap that to integers. Okay, so my translation is going fine. It looks like Taylor Game Dev says, "Hey, I'm just curious, is Delver a solo project as far as the actual game is concerned, or are there other people contributing to it? I looked at the website and the devlog and TIG, but couldn't find anything really about it." Yeah, so Delver is a two-person project. I'm Joshua, and the other developer is named Chad. I do all the art, the 2D, 3D art. Chad does all the programming. Well, I say that as I'm writing code right now. So right now we are working towards having a Steam Workshop update. Part of that update is making sure that, so Delver already supports mods, so making sure that they work in a nice way with the Steam Workshop. And so part of that is us making example content. Also, we're partnering with some modders to let them have access to our tools early so they can actually get stuff up on the workshop. Um, so if you are a modder and you are interested in getting your stuff out there, so basically on day 0 when we release the update, your mod content will be out there. Please contact either Chad or myself. We'd love to have you help us test this stuff out. Let me think what else. And also, one of the things that I'm trying to get enabled through modding is translations. And I'm following the pattern that the Long Dark established, in that the Long Dark has this community translation program where if the community translates the game, they will consider it an official supported language. So that's I think that's a cool way to go. But certainly for as small a team and as small of a budget, $0. That seems to be the best way to go. Um, okay, so I was going through this stuff. So music volume. We need to translate this string. So we have a UI size label. We need to create a music volume label. Blah, 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 blah. And this is music volume. Might also go through and fix some of the capitalization because it's kind of inconsistent and kind of drive me a little crazy. Taylor Game Day says, thank you for answering my question. Yeah, no problem at all. So my channel is it's like part community management, part education. It's all about like game dev and the current project I'm working on. So again, if you have any questions at all, please ask. I'm happy to talk about them. This is sound volume label, and this is sound volume. And this should be game.lookstrings.get localize name. Okay, that looks fine. Python user says go with camel case. Interesting. Do you mean camel case on um, the actual labels here? I guess we do. We do use camel case everywhere else. That might make sense. I can go through and replace those off stream. So that was a sound volume label, and I did get that in, right? Yep. So the next one is graphics detail. Cool. There we go. And this is graphics detail label. Graphics detail. Here this is game.lookstrings.get localize name and graphics detail label. Okay, this is just a thing we format into something else. Particle density. Do you actually show that? Let me pull that up. Particle density, yeah, we do show that. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, it's actually just let me just capitalize that because it is a title, so I think everything should just be capitalized. Um, particle density. Okay, and this is particle density. Um, particle density. This is game bookstrings.get localized name. And to be honest, I was really intending to do a lot of this work off stream throughout the week, but it just turned out that this week was just so busy. I had no free time to work on Delver outside of streaming hours. Um, yeah, it's yeah. So for those of you who don't know, we don't work on this full time. We work on this in our free time. Um, Currently, I am a stay-at-home father. So I guess my primary responsibility is just raising and taking care of my son. Um, um, yeah, so initially I thought I'd have more free time than I did, but it's basically a full-time job. So I still have as much free time to work on Delver as I had previously, which is okay, I guess. I'm just trying to again try to be effective with my time and get as much done as I can, and just be really picky about what I work on. So FOV label. And I do think that that translation is a good thing to have. And it seems like a lot of folks are pretty excited about it. So uh, I think this is a good move. Okay. Okay. Ooh, this is full screen. It's a label. Is that right? Yeah, I think it's a checkbox. Yeah. And this is full screen label. And this should say full screen. Okay. And this is game.lookstrings.get. Yep. Okay. I think we're getting there. I think we're getting actually close. Um, Actually, this might be it. Let me run it real quick and see what's going on. Um, Harrison Parch says, "Wow, Delver, I am hardly any sort of gamer." Hey, Harrison, welcome to the stream. Okay, game options, UI size, music quality, sound volume, graphics, detail, particle tip. So it looks like I got everything on this screen. Well, thank you for purchasing Delver. It does help support me in my efforts in trying to make this game as good as I can. It looks like there's another input screen here. And ooh, these buttons are ugly. And there's a whole nother screen I need to translate here. Oh my goodness. Thank you for the kind words about Delver, Harrison. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's just, I guess let's just keep translating menu text, right? Um, yeah, that's where we're at. So I think this screen is good. Let's go to, I think it's the input screen. Let me pull that over here. There we go. Yeah, Delver is generally, I think, better on keyboard and mouse than on tablet, but some people are pretty darn good with it on tablet. We're also slowly working towards getting in controller support, but that's taking a little bit more time. I guess we haven't prioritized it super high on the list of things. Okay, so we need a back button, which we already have up here. So let me just um, copy this. Um, and there is a temptation to um, reuse text, but generally for translations, it's better if you don't. In this case, it would probably be okay. but and sometimes the context does change the translation, so it's better just to have a different string for it. This is the options input screen. Screen back button. This says back. So game.looks. We do have a, so we've had a Linux client for a while. Um, I can't, I'm not sure when it came online though. Um, uh, yeah, so actually on this project, I'm the art guy. I just happen to be really passionate about localization support, so that's why I am picking up and doing this. Um, Python user says the comment field is a good idea. Often games have localized one single word and it's completely wrong in the context of the particular scene. Yep. Again, these are so like by trade, I am a software engineer, and these are just the kind of the tricks that I've learned as I've worked at various large enterprise software development companies. This one should be keys. Oh yeah, I should actually go through and add the um, I need to add the comments. I've added no comments for any of this. Um, uh, this is text shown when graphics slider is all the way left. This is the text shown when a graphics slider is in the middle. This is text shown when the graphics slider is all the way right. Text for back button, which goes to main menu. Text for input button, which opens the input screen. Text for the screen title. Label for UI size slider. Label for music volume slider. Label for sound volume slider. Lab L. This is the label for graphics detail slider. Yeah, the graphics slider is it's always been a kind of a vague one, but basically that show like we have certain things marked as decorative only, and it will show or not show depending upon where this is set. I keep messing up label. So no, I am not the main Delver coder. That is Chad. He was in the stream earlier, but he's off to lunch now. Okay, this is label for particle density slider. Label for field of view slider. Yeah, I guess it's probably good too if there's a abbreviation or acronym. I should probably define it here so it's less vague. I mean, I know most folks know what FOV is, but yeah. Label for full screen toggle. Python user, I'm catching them before you can actually before you catch them. But it's just the Twitch lag is a little odd. But thanks for watching. Thanks for thank you for keeping an eye on my typing. Because I do want these if these comments are too vague for the translators, please let me know. I do want to provide as much context as I possibly can. I want these to be good, so folks can have good context for their translations. Text for back button, which goes back to input or to options screen. And it looks like okay, this is a new one, so this needs to be keys button, so I don't forget. This needs to be keys, and this is the text for the keys button, which opens the key binding screen. Let me look. Yep, there is. Cool, thank you. Fortunately, it won't break the game, but I do want these to be high quality. Okay, let me make sure that runs. Options, those all look good. Input. I guess I've only done the back and the keys button so far. Actually, how about I play Delver a little bit? I'll hop away real quick. I'll come back and I will play. Maybe there's like 15 minutes left on my stream, so I'll play the last 15 minutes. But give me a moment. All right, I'm back. Let's go ahead and play a little Delver. We'll call it testing, but it's also just playing. Also, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to voice them. Because otherwise, I'm just going to kind of talk. I know people keep talking about the durability issues, and I guess we are going to tweak them. The durability system kind of came in late last update, and we haven't really had a chance to play with it. So everything, unfortunately, has the same durability value, which is not correct. That's going to be changed. And how it works is an item has a durability. So by default, every item has a durability of 15, which means for a normal dagger, you have to hit something 15 times, and it will go from a normal dagger to a worn dagger. And then after 15 more hits, it will become a broken dagger. So you have 15 hits on an iron weapon before it becomes worn, and then 15 more become broken. And I've made changes to make broken even really worse than they currently are. Right now, broken just means it does reduce damage. But I've made some changes to make broken also mean reduced damage, reduced range, and if it had any enchantments, all the enchantments are gone if you break a weapon. Now you gotta be careful because I'm probably getting close. So I need to keep my eye out for a new weapon. Something also too is crates have a very low drop chance. So maybe if I only have one weapon, busting open crates probably isn't a super great idea. Hey, Adapunkin, thanks for stopping by. Unfortunately, I got like 10 minutes left on my stream. So if there's anything you're dying to know, ask it now. Otherwise, I'm just going to demo a little bit of Delver and call it a day. Cool. Ooh, a scroll of flame. That's always fun because it sets folks on fire. Again, the fire system is a new system as well. There we go. Scroll of freezing. And down level. Nice. Just gonna try to barrel through this as fast as I can. There we go. Green potion. Potions are useful. I get out of wand shots, and my dagger is probably gonna be worn here in a second. So I really need to. Oh, there's another wand. At least I can. Crap. Okay. That did not go as planned. I need to run and find something. Yeah, the RNG unfortunately is not being kind to me. I think I see something. I think there's a sword back there. Yep. At least. Ouch. I think it sucks, but at least hopefully it's better than what I had. Okay, there we go. Let me see. Actually, take a look at this. So it is a wow, -4 defense, but 6 to 8 damage. Wow. So as long as it kind of makes me a glass cannon, but it's kind of okay because I think my iron dagger is still doing okay. So it wasn't as bad. I know folks keep complaining that their stuff wears out like really fast, but I think I don't know. Maybe I'm just more conservative on how I use it. But again, feedback is always good. I definitely listen to feedback. I let it sit in my brain and rattle around for a while. And a lot of the decisions we make are based upon the feedback people do give us, and we do read. I apologize if I don't always respond to comments like in the Steam forums, but I do my best to try to make sure I read all the threads. Python user says, "Are we using Ace Star for pathfinding?" I believe so. Again, I'm not entirely for certain. I'm not the main programmer, so Chad would be able to better answer that. Yeah. This run's going okay. Nice. Ooh, that's a good bow too. Let me put that bow right there. Ebna says, "Hi, Ebnas. Thank you for stopping by." So this is the first interstitial area. So these are designed to do a little bit of storytelling and kind of give you a break from the action. And here's a shopkeeper. So if you have enough gold, you can buy stuff. But I don't have a lot of gold, which is a bummer. I might. So next, not this current update we're working on, with the update after that. I want to redo the dungeon area, so this might also get a little bit of love as well. Yeah, this also gives you a little bit of a preview to the next level, which is the cave level. Also, let me use my crappy dagger to break open stuff now. Ooh. And this is I still have the French translation in there. So this is the excellent iron épée of ice. This is good. I think it's actually better than the dagger I was using. So let me switch to my épée. Thank you for the kind words, Evans. Python user saying, "What do I mean by the dungeon area?" So the first 2 floors of the dungeon are just called dungeon. And so what happened is the project is 4 years old now, and I've been on it at least 3. And the very first, so the very first area of the game we actually made was the dungeon, the first couple floors you find. And and as we've kind of gone on, we've added new areas. Ooh, 2 amulets. We've added new areas, we've added new arts, we've added new systems. So if you notice, like the quality level of the caves is higher than that of the dungeons, and then the sewers is higher quality still, and then the ruins I think are the best looking area of the entire game, which is a shame because they're the last you ever encounter. So I want to go back to the dungeons and kind of give them some love and make them beautiful. Again, I always want to make like the first impressions of the game like the best. So generally, generally you have like people's attention for only so long. So that's why we try to get them into the game as fast as we can, and that's why I try to make it look as beautiful as I can. Crap. Also, I noticed Enrique he is working on a mod to replace all the spiders with scorpions because one of my folks on the stream here brought up the fact that they have pretty bad arachnophobia, which I guess we hadn't even considered. But it's really cool that Enrique is working on making an alternate skin for that. And I'm on fire. Hopefully my restore health will help offset that until I can do something about that. Don't want to get set on fire again. Maybe we should change that guy's his attack sprite too, so it looks more like fire than the magic stuff. And I have arrows all over this back wall. Let me recover them. Okay. Pushing on. Nice. Yep, and I knew I missed a couple arrows. Oh well. Picked up a magic wand. Okay, wait. This is 7 to 10 5 ice, and this is 7 to 9 3 ice. So this is better, and also has higher knockback, which is nice. I do like the maces and the hammers for the knockback because it allows me to position enemies kind of where I want them. And the hammers and maces tend to be my favorite melee weapons, even though they tend to be a little bit slower. I do like them. Okay, just got a few more minutes, so we keep playing Delver, keep talking about stuff. Let me think. I mean, I think like we're pushing hard to finish up Delver this year, and like I think it's getting to a place where we're both pretty happy with it. Um, like I think the quality bar is at a pretty good level. Um, I think I'd like to see a little bit more content in there, so I probably want to push through a content bump myself. Um, Again, I don't necessarily want to make it longer, but maybe having more options for folks, I think would be the better way to go about that. Crap. I'm poisoned. Wow, just caterpillars everywhere. Ring of health. 6. Magic shield. That did not help. Cheese. There we go. Let me see. Drop tables dependent upon monsters killed. Actually, so this is a pretty subtle system. I've spoken about it on the stream before, but since you're asking about it, the loot drops are actually influenced by the stats you choose to level up. No, mind you, it's not like a very large change, but if you choose more, like if you choose to increase your attack, you're more likely to find weapons, like melee weapons. If you choose to increase your health, for example, you tend to find more food. Agility corresponds to ranged weapons, etc. So it's trying to like if you're trying to play a particular class, it can kind of help steer it a little bit that direction. A steel helmet of skill. Yeah, let's do that. I mean, all armor slows you down, so it's just going to be something I have to live with that speed reduction. It's only like minus two. Wow. Okay. Steel is heavy. There we go. So attack. Yeah, I think for the last update somehow I think the speed mod stuff was not being correctly calculated. Got poisoned bat somehow, and that has been fixed in the latest changes, and it will be fixed again the next update. Excellent quilted armor. This is probably okay. So put that on. There we go. All right, folks. It looks like I am out of time. Um, I just want to take a moment to thank everybody for hanging out with me while I was streaming today. I think we had a pretty productive stream. The first part of the stream, the first two-thirds of the stream was actually working on mod content, making a new level, um, which I think is pretty cool. I'll pop open that real quick so folks can take a look at it. But yeah, again, thank you for purchasing Delver. That directly supports me in trying to become a I'm trying to get to a sustainable point in my I guess my like being an independent developer. Not there yet, but pushing forward. That crashed. Hmm, something's up. Uh, anyways, I can troubleshoot that way. Oh yeah, because it doesn't exist. Um, yeah, because I deleted the mod content out. So you can watch the beginning of the stream. You can watch me make a little sci-fi themed level. But yeah, thank you for buying my game. Thank you for watching my stream. This has been a bonus stream. If you want to find out, if you want to find out when bonus streams happen, just follow me here on Twitch or on Twitter. That's the best way to find out. There's also a Facebook page. If you care about Facebook and that's your thing, cool. We got a Facebook page. I'll paste that here in chat. But if you look for Delver Game Official, um, that is our Facebook page. Otherwise, I will see you folks Sunday. Have a good few days. Bye.